All right, quick gut check. Did last week's episode hit you? Like, not in the wow, that's deep kind of way, but maybe in the way that you realize you've been carrying gaps for years kind of way.
Absolutely. And if you're tuning in again, great. That means you most likely met your future self last week. Maybe you visualized who you could be. Maybe you even got emotional. Maybe you felt hopeful. I don't know. Maybe you even got a little pissed off that you've been waiting for this long.
But here's the thing. We said last week was about crossing the gap. And this week, we're not just talking, we're walking. We're closing the gap with action, with reps, and with real life practice.
So if last week was your aha moment, maybe this week is your alarm clock. It's not going to be poetic, and it's definitely not going to be perfect, but it's absolutely going to be practical.
We're going to hit three areas: career and finances, relationships, and the self. And in each one, we're going to ask you some real questions and kind of give you some example answers. And you might disagree with those. And that's kind of on purpose because that's how you find your truth.
So go grab your notebook or open your notes app, or if you're driving, just keep driving, but shout your answers out loud like a weirdo on the road. We don't care, but don't just sit back and listen to this one. Actually act with this one.
Yes, engage, push back. Now, fill in the blanks with your truth, because this isn't theory, it's practice. And your future self, they're waiting. They've already done the work. They're waiting on you to catch up, and now it's your turn. So let's get into it.
Welcome to the Nature of Everything podcast with Bo and Clint, where we deep dive into the world of personal development through coin. Confirm it, own it, be intentional, and change the nature of everything.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nature of Everything, the podcast where we talk about personal development, one honest and messy but intentional conversation at a time. I'm Bo.
And I'm Clint. You know, we're longtime friends and we're co-creators of Coin, but we're also just two guys who've spent, I don't know, years and years having the kind of honest conversations that probably normally happen behind closed doors.
Yeah, I need to stay behind closed doors. But we're also full-time experts in figuring it out while we're figuring it out.
For sure. If you're new here, first of all, hey, we're so glad that you found us. Secondly, this is episode 36, so you might want to go back and listen to episode 35 if you missed it. That one was about crossing the gap, which is like visualizing your future self and getting honest about where you are right now.
Yeah, but this episode right here, this is the one where we do something about it. We're talking about how to close the gap, and not with big declarations or some 30-day plan, but with actual, repeatable, micro-level practice.
So before we dig in, two quick things. One, our book is available. It's called Confirm It, Own It, Be Intentional, and Change the Nature of Everything in Your Life. Yeah, we know it's a long title, but it's packed and it's real, and it's designed to help you do exactly what we're talking about, which is to move and to get unstuck and change the things that you're wanting to adjust.
Yeah, go grab that book at coinyourlife.com. And while you're there and scrolling around, follow us on all the things: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Search Coin Your Life and you'll find us dropping some thoughts and some inspiration, some memes maybe, or just whatever else is helping us to grow in real time.
And look, we absolutely want to build a brand around Coin because we believe in the idea so strongly. But more importantly, we want to build a community, and we want a community that's a space where people can grow together without needing to be perfect first. And just by being here, I'm telling you, you're already part of this community.
Yeah, so we're glad you're here. Whether this is your first episode or your 36th, you're part of this thing, and we're going to walk it out together.
All right, enough warm up. Let's talk practice. We're going to bring up a few topics here and talk through how we might coin these gaps. And these are some practical steps to see how coin shows up in the questions and answers how you can arrive at a place where you get unstuck and start making these moves.
All right, let's start where most of us might feel that tight grip of stress, career, and money.
Yeah, and look, we're not here to shame your budget or your job title or anything along those lines. but we are going to ask you stop avoiding those conversations that you've been pretending aren't happening in your head.
So here's your first question. And again, we're giving you some possible answers, but if it makes your eyes roll and you say like, no, that's not even about me, like that's good. That's the work. So question one, what financial decision are you avoiding right now?
Like probably those, streaming services that you've forgotten to cancel all these years.
Yeah, like all 14 of them. But look, that's probably just the surface level stuff. Like maybe the real thing that you've been avoiding is opening up your bank app or admitting that you're still, charging takeout on a credit card because budgeting feels overwhelming.
Yeah. And the real gap here isn't that there's a lack of money. It's most likely some type of avoidance. Like, honestly, again, you can't change what you just simply won't look at. So, what are some of the first moves that you could make? I don't know, maybe like you mentioned, open your bank app, and say out loud what you see. Maybe not in front of anyone, just yourself, but notice it, be aware of it. Maybe rename a budget category to something that would be positive in your mind. For instance, like name something a future me fund that you would be excited to invest in. Write down your total debt. Even I know if it makes your stomach turn and it's nauseous, fine. Like Bo said, that's the work. Like, write this down and face it. Right? It could be hard work. And I don't know, maybe Google a financial term that like you've been pretending that you understand, but it actually doesn't make sense to you. Look into it. Find out what that means.
And keep in mind that if you disagree with any of these ideas, great. Like, again, that's the work. Like, what did you come up with? What maybe popped into your head as one thing you could do, like today? And remember, keep them small. Like, you can do something simple because you're not lazy. You might be foggy. And once you get an ounce of clarity and take action, AKA be intentional, then things start to shift.
So let's keep going and ask another question. For instance, if your future self was in charge of your career this week, what would they do? Would they do something differently? Would they keep plugging away the way you are, or would they shake it up some?
Yeah, they'd probably go finally update their LinkedIn profile that they haven't touched since 2020.
Or even sign up for LinkedIn if possible.
All of that.
And maybe stop waiting to feel perfectly ready. Maybe start building something today. Anything. You may see the gap as that, quote, I'm not where I want to be in my career. Well, maybe the actual gap is the fact that you haven't made a move in weeks or months even, maybe you're stuck in that preparatory mode and you're waiting to feel perfectly ready when that's simply not going to happen.
Yeah, just take action. And I mean, here's some random ideas. Again, feel free to disagree. Jot down 5 next level career goals and don't filter them at all. Or you could text a mentor and say, hey, do you have 15 minutes and we could talk some career stuff? Or update 1 bullet point on your resume. Or you could put 30 minutes on your calendar and just for some career clarity, or call it what you want.
Yeah, the gap isn't that you're behind. You're not behind the curve. The gap is that you've paused. So unpause yourself. Even if it's imperfectly so, get moving in a direction.
And I actually like the idea of updating your resume. It could be 1 bullet point, but I mean, hell, you might want to update the whole thing. Maybe your future self wants some options. But more importantly, like maybe updating your resume might help you to see your own value. And maybe that's kind of like killing 2 birds with 1 coin.
I like it.
With 1 coin.
I dig it.
Yeah. All right, so let's shift gears and talk about relationships, friends, family, partners, all this stuff.
Yeah, because, most people say stuff, and I've heard it before, like, I just want to feel closer to people, or I want to be able to engage with people, or, I wish my relationships or my ability to communicate was stronger.
Yeah, let's be real. That's kind of that surface level gap. We perceive the gap as something like I'm disconnected, but the actual gap, again, it's usually avoidance. You haven't reached out. You haven't said the thing that needs to be said. You're kind of waiting on closeness to happen without initiating anything.
That's fair. Let's dig into that. Let's start there. Like maybe a question to ask yourself. Again, just possible answers, possible ideas. It may fit you, it may not, but that's kind of the point, right? There's the work. So maybe ask yourself, like, who do I need to check in with? I mean, even if it's weird, even if it's awkward,
Yeah, you probably owe your dad a call. Maybe it's been a few weeks.
sure, absolutely. Or maybe not. Maybe that's not the case, but maybe it's a friend or someone that you've ghosted when life got heavy. Or the person that maybe you had a weird kind of falling out with, and y'all just never taken the opportunity to circle back around and patch it up. Maybe that's your moment to initiate that.
Whatever name just popped into your mind, that's the gap. And that's where the work is.
Sure. So maybe you're asking yourself, like, well, then what do you do? Like, okay, what's the work to be done here? Maybe text and say, hey, I know it's been a minute. Just wanted to check in, see how you're doing. Because yeah, it has been a minute, and it is sort of a pulling the Band-Aid off kind of moment. So just check in and let them know, hey, I recognize it's been a minute. So just checking in. What's up? Maybe leave a voice memo for yourself. Say what you would say if you weren't afraid. Like if you weren't hesitant, like take the moment to speak it out loud. And maybe you don't actually call. Maybe you just say it in that voice memo. If it fits you, write a letter. Like, don't send it, but just get the words out of your head. Just put it on paper. You don't have to put it in an envelope. You don't have to put a stamp on it, and you don't have to drop it in the mail. But you can get started. You can feel what it feels like. And then again, maybe if you are willing to pull the trigger, like actually leave a 30-second voicemail for them. If they don't answer, leave the voicemail. It doesn't have to be deep. It can be surface level, but it gets that initiation started.
And it's probably going to feel clunky or awkward. And
Sure.
look, that's cool. Like it means you're doing it right. Like being close to people, it isn't magic. It's practiced connection and honesty.
So here's a tricky one. What if you need to set a boundary somewhere? Even if it rattles the cage, even if it's uncomfortable and strange, like what if you need to set a boundary?
Yeah, you probably need to stop saying yes to everything at work.
Sure. And possibly it's even deeper than that. Like maybe it's a sibling who, I don't know, trauma dumps every time you talk, and you just don't need that right now. Or maybe it's a friend who, and we all have them, the folks that only call when they need something.
Right. And in that situation, the perceived gap is like, well, we're just not close anymore. When the actual gap is a lack of honesty. Like you haven't protected your time or your peace or your energy, or you just haven't told them how you're feeling.
Yeah, and I do think this is often one of those difficult practices, setting boundaries.
Yeah, it is.
And kind of figuring out what they truly look like in real life. I don't know. And again, maybe it is that moment where you take that honest stance to say, hey, look, I want to be here for you. I want to be present, but I'm actually drained today. Is there any way that we can catch up tomorrow? Maybe it's a text and you just simply say, look, I'm trying to recharge a little bit this week, and can we catch up later in the week? If it's one of those that requires it, maybe you have to unfollow or whatever the equivalent to muting an account that if it always throws you off center, if it always winds you up and it gets you in the wrong spot, maybe you need to get out of that specific platform. If you have a chance, write down your top 3 energy drainers. These energy vampires, whatever they may be, commit to shifting out of one of them. Like get one energy vampire off of you. I'm sure it'll make a difference.
And you know what? Setting boundaries, it doesn't make you cold. It actually makes you healthy.
Quick pause, because we want to make sure that you're not just listening to this like it's some type of list of, tips. We want to make sure that you're actually putting pen to paper, or you're actually taking steps and applying these. So, don't just sit there and think, oh, cool, let me pick my favorite idea and move on. Like, actually consider what you're going to put into next steps.
Exactly. Because this isn't about finding some exact question or your exact answer in what we're saying. The point is that we're not trying to read your mind here. The point is we're just kind of showing you the process, like how you kind of coin through this.
Absolutely. It's a method. This is truly coin in action, because you have to name that gap. and you make sure it's really the gap. Make sure that it's even your gap to deal with, on top of the surface or below the surface, either way. Then you got to ask yourself those questions. Ask your future self, like we were speaking about in the last episode. Ask your future self, what question would they ask? Cycle through a few of these answers, like even the wrong ones, like even if you don't like them. Pick what you know rose to the surface. Like, be honest with yourself, and then write these things down and make some super simple moves. The kind that don't necessarily feel big, and they definitely don't feel perfect. These are the kind that are doable, though. These are the ones that you can take a step doing. And then I say, most importantly, pick one. Pick whatever this is going to be and pull the trigger. Make an actionable step, be intentional, and do something.
That's it. That's the practice. Confirm it, own it, and be intentional so that you can change the nature of everything.
And once again, don't overthink this part. The simpler, the better. If you're thinking, I need to drink more water, then good. Drink a glass of water and start there. If it's, send a 2-word text to reestablish this connection and rebuild a relationship, then send the 2-word text. Small steps close gaps.
Say that again.
Small steps close gaps. They do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's
Indeed.
great stuff.
Indeed.
All right. I mean, I love it. Small steps close gaps. Let's move into the last space, the one that we usually abandon first, and that's our relationship with ourselves.
Absolutely. Look, and let's be real. This is the one that most of us probably bail out on. It's because we'll hustle for work, and we'll show up for other people, and we'll pour the energies into all of these areas because we feel these obligations and these drags on ourselves. But when it comes to like putting energy into ourselves, like I said before, we ghost ourselves and we numb out, and we disconnect. We push things down. So you know what? Let's name this. Like, when's the last time you gave yourself credit? Like, for real, like you actually gave yourself credit for what you've accomplished.
Yeah, it's probably the last time you worked out or walked around the block or crossed something off of your grocery list.
Sure, but maybe that's not it. I don't know. I don't know where it lands for you. Maybe it's when you didn't lose control. Maybe that you were calm and felt really good about how you addressed your kids when they messed something up. Or maybe actually you let yourself rest instead of just powering through and adding another layer of stress and strain on yourself.
All right, whatever it is, whatever matter to you, it counts. You don't have to earn your right to give yourself credit. That's not the gap. The gap is that you haven't named it. You haven't confirmed it.
So I say this is what that could look like. Say this out loud. I'm proud of myself for, and you fill in the blank, whatever that may be. Write down one thing you did this week that took emotional effort. Look in the mirror and just say, hey, I'm doing better than I think. Or maybe screenshot a text or a note where someone said something that they were explicit in telling you how much they appreciate you. Like, look at that and process that and save that.
I think it's important to recognize that giving yourself credit, it's not ego, it's fuel. And most of us, we're running on empty. But so here's another question. Then what habit is quietly hurting you right now?
Yeah. I mean, is it doom scrolling on your phone until 1 a.m. and calling it unwinding, like I'm de-stressing by this when you're actually not?
Or it's the way you talk to yourself. Maybe it's replaying every mistake from 5 years ago when you lay down at night.
Absolutely. Ugh, I'm terrible at that one. So maybe the perceived gap in some of this could be, I'm not good enough, or I'm not motivated. Maybe you aren't feeling motivated, but the actual gap, maybe you're dragging, like you mentioned, maybe you're dragging that shame around, and it's like a weighted ball on the end of a chain, and it's keeping you from feeling motivated, when the actual aspect is the fact that you're beating yourself up when you shouldn't.
That's really heavy. You see what I did there?
I do see what you did there.
All right. But seriously, like, what are you going to do? And so you might want to try these. You might replace one inner criticism with, you know what? I'm learning. I love that one. I'm learning.
Sure.
I'm in the process. Like, give me a break. self and asshole. I mean, like, yeah, we're so mean to ourselves.
True.
Or maybe you leave your phone in another room for 15 minutes and you just breathe. Or you write down 3 things that you actually like about yourself, and no sarcasm allowed. Be serious. And or do one basic thing: drink water, take a walk, stretch, and name that thing, that simple thing, as self-respect.
100%. Because look, I really believe that the world, it's loud enough on its own. I don't think that you need to be another voice inside your own head tearing you down. I think there's plenty of that out there. So for what it's worth, be your own first responder.
Yeah. Take a breath. Like we've covered a lot today, but we want to leave you with one final reminder. That future self, that one you met last week, they're not just a vision, they're really a resource.
Absolutely. And they can help you ask the better questions. They can guide your choices and give you advice. They don't need you to become a completely different person overnight.
Because look, confirming it is just the first step. Owning it, that's a step further. But being intentional, that's the whole journey. Like, that's the daily practice. That's the reps.
So once again, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't try to do everything at once. It's not an overnight overhaul. That's simply just not the practice. The practice truly is picking the one thing. There's one thing, one step, one honest moment.
And if you're still sitting there kind of unsure about where to start, again, go talk to your future self. I know it sounds kind of wonky and it sounds mystical and weird, but just try it. Ask your future self what they need from you today. Ask them, say like, hey, what's the smallest move that I could make? And then, you know what, listen, and then take action.
And look, stay honest, be open-minded, be ready to receive whatever's going on here, but make sure that the gap you're working on is actually the gap. And then take action. Take that action intentionally. And that truly is how you change the nature of everything.
I dig it.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to check out coinyourlife.com and find us on social media.